Hey guys, what's up? So today I thought I'd talk about CULP because I know it's kind of application season for CULP, so I figured I'd talk about it. Last summer I did a military-to-military mission to Bosnia for CULP. I'll put some pictures up now. And overall it was a really good experience. You know, I learned a lot about the country, a lot about the war that happened there in the 90s. I learned a lot about the region really in general, and I met a lot of really good people. So I had a really positive experience with CULP. There are different types of missions for CULP. There's military to military, which is what I did. There's humanitarian service. And I think there's a third kind that I haven't really heard of anybody do, like education one. I haven't really heard of that one. And they're pretty different. Military to military it can range a lot, frankly. All of these can range a lot. But some military to military missions are super cool. I've heard of, I think in Georgia in in Europe, there's a mission that goes there that's basically like mountain warfare school. So it's pretty cool. I've heard of some that, you know, you're sleeping outside a lot of the time, or sleeping in less good conditions a lot of the time, and it's a more hands-on training. Mine wasn't like that. We spent a lot of time with their military. We lived on a base there, but it was not very cool. We did some shooting though. That was cool. For the humanitarian missions, from what I've heard, it's usually you're teaching English to another military or community, or you're kind of like building houses and stuff like that. And the education ones, I haven't really heard of them. I'm not exactly sure if that's kind of like Project Go or what. So I don't know that much about those, unfortunately. But like I was saying, the missions can vary a lot. There's some that turn into basically like really nice paid vacations. I had a friend who went to Romania. They were teaching English to, I think, their naval academy or naval base there or something. And they just stayed in a hotel the whole time. If you're on CULP and you stay in a hotel, you have to stay in a 4-star or nicer hotel. So if you're in a hotel, you're in a nice one. We were in a hotel just for 2 nights in Sarajevo. The first night we got there and the last night, and they were both, those were nice hotels. So if you're in a hotel, you're living pretty large. Yeah, they were staying in a nice hotel the whole time right on the beach. They taught English, I think, every day for like 4 to 6 hours or something, and then they were just in a really nice hotel, which I personally think would kind of get old, but it's one of the experiences that you can have. Another kind is the super cool ones I was talking about, like the mountain warfare school. There are some that are really cool, and sometimes the commander, you know, really wants to get into it, and there's some really cool missions. And then a lot of them just kind of fall somewhere in between. So mine was not super cool, but it was not super nice either. We stayed on a Bosniak military base, like I said, and basically we're in one big room. Not even big room, frankly. Not much, maybe a little bigger than my room. And there was just 8 beds. It was just bed, like night table, bed, night table, bed, night table. And we slept in there and it was totally fine. There's a separate room for our team leader, and there's a separate room for the one girl we had on our mission, and then one bathroom. So we had kind of had our own little like small house. Wasn't wasn't super nice conditions, but it definitely wasn't bad at all. It was not bad at all. But there was a different group on my trip. For Bosnia, we split into 3 teams when we got there, so they were in different parts of the country. And one of them had like pretty shitty living conditions. Like they didn't have anywhere to wash their clothes. I think they didn't have a bathroom for a while. Like they had pretty bad conditions. So it can totally change, even just in what country you're in. So you never know. But anyway, I'm going to talk about the application a little bit. To apply for CULP, you need to be a contracted cadet. The application itself is super simple. It's like 1 page. It asks like, what's your GPA? Maybe what's your PT score? And then like, do you speak any other languages? And then it asks you what theater you want to go to. So like Europe, Africa, Middle East, Asia, and I mean, that's pretty much it. It was a super short application. Took maybe 5 minutes at most. My year, I think there was 2 or 3 waves of acceptances. So I found out early, I got accepted, and then later on, I think I had a friend that found out, and then later on, there was another one. So if you don't get it immediately, don't worry. Usually there's waves of acceptances. So you could find out as late as like January, like, oh, you're going to CULP. Like, oh, sweet. It's been getting harder and harder to get into, but it's still not that tough. It used to be like, if you apply, you're in, and now not as much. I know some people from my school that didn't get accepted, but it's still not that hard to get it. If you're doing, you know, pretty well, you should be fine. Where you get sent depends on what theater you choose. Like I said before, you pick the theater and then they pick the country, and the countries that are available in each theater changes every year, and it's hard to look up, so really don't even waste your time. They could even send you to a whole different theater. It's kind of a crapshoot. Usually they stay in the theater. Like I put Europe and I ended up in Europe, in Bosnia. Usually they do that, but I've heard of situations where you put Europe and you end up in Africa, and you're like, all right. Before you go on the mission, though, there's a lot of pre-missions, like trainings and stuff you have to do online, and those can be kind of frustrating just because a lot of them you need different types of access, and a lot of them you can't do on a Mac and stuff like that. So that gets kind of annoying, and it does take a good amount of time, but it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. It was a really good experience. Very glad I did it. I got good accessions points, all of that. And I went to somewhere that I don't think I would have gone otherwise. I kind of wish actually that I had put Africa or something, but Bosnia was a really good experience. And then finally, financially, you do get paid for going on a CULP trip. However, sometimes it takes a while for them to actually send you your money. I got mine pretty soon after, so I had a good experience with that, but I've heard of people having to wait a long time and having to talk to their HRA and all that. One thing I didn't know, because I did it the same summer I did CLC, so after my junior year. So the summer after your junior year, you actually get paid the whole summer. I actually did not know that. And you get paid for CULP, but you don't get paid for both. So if you do CULP the summer after your junior year, you're forfeiting your usual pay for CULP pay. CULP pays more, but I mean, you end up making like an extra like 500 or something that you could easily make more than that just working at home. I really don't think you do it for the money. It was a good experience, like I said, good sessions points, and I'm really glad I did it personally. So, I mean, that's all I've got about CULP. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. I'll answer them as soon as possible. Overall, yeah, would I recommend it? Absolutely. Yes, every time. Easy. I was pretty well traveled before I went, but a lot of the people on my trip had never been out of the country, and I think most of them had good times with it too. I think it's a really good program. I think it's very forward thinking of the Army, wars changing and all that. You know, you need more of a cultural perspective, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's good. It's good for that. So yeah, like I said, that's all I got. Let me know if you have any questions. Subscribe to join me on this journey. If you didn't know already, I commissioned in May, and I'm heading off to BOLC in a couple of weeks, and I'm just trying to record as much as I can of my time in the military for a couple of reasons. One, for me to look back on when I'm old, and two, to hopefully teach, people like you, maybe people who are a few years behind me, who are going to go through the same exact stuff as me. Maybe you can learn from my mistakes and what I do well. So, yep, that's all I got. Leave any comments, subscribe, drop a like if you like this video, and yeah, that's all I got. So, keep killing it.